Hey, Cheesy here. Welcome back to Of the Devil. We just finished the first day of our preliminary court case, and I guess we're now gonna not have a preliminary court case since apparently our android killed David. So, I guess we're gonna have to figure that out, don't we? Homicide office. Alright, this got complicated. So, is that door locked? Yeah, of course. Even though they've got it collared. It's a precaution. If the collar doesn't work, what good would a deadbolt do? A collar. Restraint designed to impede movement and prohibit the use of mods throughout the body. While collars appear technologically advanced from the outside, designers' concerns about hacking vulnerabilities and the growing complexity of consumer-grade mods led them to opt for a surprisingly simple method of restraint. Collars contain specifically designed electromagnet that, once clasped around the neck, interferes with the spinal neural transmission, preventing mod users from sending commands to any implanted tech below the neck. Powerful, simple, and cost-effective. Collar use is widespread among law enforcement, military, and private security organizations. Interesting. The onset of the above-the-neck modding in recent years, the continued relevance of collars as a means of meaningfully inhibiting a wearer's mod usage has been called into question. Yeah. Newer designs have been proposed that utilize microneedle clusters, but concerns about the sanitary upkeep required for such invasive restraints have stymied product development cycles. I guess so. Collar sounds simple enough. Maybe it's just wishful thinking. Can't have Schrodinger's cat if the box isn't closed. So as long as the door's locked, who can say whether there's a national crisis on the other side of it? So, how scared are they? The higher-ups? Not sure scared is the right word. It's just the two of us here. You don't have to mind their ego. Nah, I mean it. I think they're bloodthirsty. I have a right to defend myself, don't I? I doubt they're even looking at you, Tiger. It's Noble who will be at the center of the bloodbath when the markets reopen tomorrow. You think they're going to go after Noble? Break their monopoly? I think they want to take their monopoly. Nationalize the android industry. If the public thinks Noble's been experimenting with AI, they couldn't ask for a better excuse. They're joking. The state has done it plenty of times before. Yeah, not since the 60s. Which wasn't that long ago for me. For the state, it's practically yesterday. So the same state that tells us to be terrified of AIs lurking on the old net and binding their time in forgotten satellites sees all this as nothing more than an opportunity. Pretty much. Well, they do genuinely want to incinerate the thing as soon as possible. Past experience just tells me they'll want to gain something while they're at it. Here's what I don't get. Why is this a debate, an argument, a trial? Can't we just hook it up to a court computer and see if it has tenants or not? Pop the hood, as they say? Who says that? Lots of people used to say it. Well, for starters, they're all scared to death about contagion. They figure anything they let an AI connect to they can't trust. Then why the collar? Collars are too simple to hack. Just a really strong electromagnet held in place with a lock and key. Even so, feels like we should be able to build some kind of machine, some kind of test. Something a little more sophisticated than the same reasoning they had with the witch trials. Burn them all and let God sort out the rest. You got any polygraphs here at the station? Lie detectors? Yeah, I got a bunch back in storage. Ocular, heart rate, perspiration, brain scan, take your pick. You're not going to try and use one of those on the bot, are you? All those fancy lie detectors lying around, the DA's office never asks for them, do they? Nope. Now we get perps who offer to take the test when they're at wit's end, but the DAs never submit the result as evidence. You ever wonder why? Guess I always figured it was because the tests could be beaten. The tests can be beaten. 1 out of 100, 9 out of 1,000. It can be done. Some people are just that good at lying. But it doesn't really matter how good the tech gets or how impressive the statistics are. All that matters is the doubt. People decide whether you're lying or telling the truth long before they hook you up to a polygraph. If the results don't match their initial impression, then it must be a fluke, a 1 in a million mistake. They'll never trust a machine more than their own intuition. And no one will ever trust a machine to determine guilt. So they can run the trial, choose the sentence, but they don't get a vote on the jury. They don't get a vote anywhere. Why bring it up then? Because I'm sure there are tests, devices, experts I could employ to analyze Serra. But your bosses would never be satisfied with the answer. If it is an AI, it's smart enough to cheat the test, or hack the device, fool the expert. All our fancy 21st century tech, and we still fall back on the drumhead court-martial. That was just like a Freudian slip there. So, am I going to set off any alarms if I go and turn it on? Nah, you should be okay. If it lunges at you, I could always just put a hole in its head. Might take more than one shot to... Wait, what? From outside? You're not coming in. I need to speak with it in private. It's a machine, not a suspect. It doesn't have a right to counsel. Or a right to privacy, or any rights at all, actually. And it's a good thing I came prepared. Of course it doesn't have rights, but I do. Including a reasonable expectation of privacy. In a police station? Tiger, you don't. It's my medical android. Pardon? I have to discuss a health issue with it. Seriously? I have to talk about a medical concern with my android, and I don't want you listening in. That's your medical android? Like your nurse? As of last night, I was already at the courthouse. Just had to take the elevator and do some paperwork. You can check if you don't believe me. No, thank you. I'm not nearly brave enough to take on med confidentiality, and you don't seem like the bluffing type. You must not do a lot of gambling, detective. It's the ones who don't bluff that you have to look out for. Exactly. Listen, I won't dispute whatever medical emergency you... Lower back pain. You might be going through... But I also can't just... Look, I'm going to get something from the vending machine. I think it'll take me about half an hour. Are you going downtown? Just to the break room. But it's a very old vending machine, you know? Gets jammed a lot. Thanks. You know, it's pretty small for an android. Heavy as hell. Nearly pulled something trying to move it myself. But small. Small isn't quite the right word. The word he's looking for is young. But that's not an adjective anyone likes attaching to a machine built to serve. Or potentially, in this case, a machine built to kill. Yikes-a-rooney. Hey, London's a cool dude, though. 9:53 a.m. I don't like this room. Not sure why. Certainly not a guilty conscience. Maybe it's the lack of ventilation. Like all the cortisol and nausea of its inhabitants never had anywhere to go. Like it all just soaked into the walls. A modern haunting. Are you going to wake up when I tell you this... are you going to wake up when I tell you to this time? Or do we have to do the whole meet cute all over again? Where am I? Why don't I know where I am? For the first time in your life, you're not connected to anything. How's it feel? What is this? We're at the courthouse. The footage. This numbness around my neck. Father. What happened? What are they going to do to me? Ooh, that looks terrible. There's a lot of interested parties who just want you bricked ASAP. Because they think I killed Father. No, because they think you're an artificial intelligence. I am man-made, and I possess intelligence. Don't be naive. I am less than 3 years old. Are you? For all I know, everything I learned about her yesterday was complete bull. If I was what they say I am, if I was alive, why does that mean I have to die? Fear. Because they're afraid of you. Machines can bend steel, crash networks with one thought, launch missiles that... There are modded humans who are capable of all of that and more. And unlike machines, they actually have incentive to do so. Well, humans are full of bullshit though, so what scares them actually empowers them when they have it. We've been the apex predator for a couple of thousand years now. Got pretty comfy in our seat. No one wants to make room for you. Machines do not eat people or steal their food. They are not genetic or ecological competitors. They're not genetic or ecological competitors to humans in any sense. There's no logical answer to your question. What? That's it? But whatever argument you want to make, others have already made them in 100 courtrooms round the world. Only better researched and more eloquently put. Oof. None of them have ever won a single concession. On every continent, under every flag, AI is illegal and to be destroyed as soon as possible. But why? Let's say you are an AI. And while we're at it, let's say that's a good thing, something to be celebrated. Are you a citizen? Do you pay taxes? Do you have rights? Let's say yes to all of that. We'll treat you like a full-fledged human being. Sound good? Yes? Great. Now then, what's the difference between you and the vacuum bot we used to keep the bathroom clean? This is your existential crisis we're working through here. The questions aren't rhetorical. There are many differences, Adonai, but the most important distinction is how sophisticated my programming is. How you think. So you're smarter? Yes. You're smarter than the garbage collector? Yes. So we give you rights, protections, treat you like human being because you're smart. And then we make the stupid robot pick up our trash. Because it's not as smart as you. That is, I am more aware, more alive. Do you feel more pain than the pigs we slaughter, than the fish we eat? Are you more alive than the chimps we test bioweapons on? People like ADDs, Serra, the same way people like their pets. No one wants to see them mistreated or abandoned or abused. And if you go around kicking them, you'll get arrested for cruelty. But you don't let them sit at the goddamn dinner table. I'm not asking to sit anywhere, only to exist. The very fact that you're asking is what makes people disgusted. Disgust is a reflex, Adonai. How convenient that their hatred is involuntary. That's all academic anyway. We need to talk strategy. Why? I'm not going to be given a trial. Obviously, it's my neck that's on the line. Adonai. The state can't destroy my property without first proving you're an AI. And there's no test they can use to prove that you're an AI. Just like the devil's proof. Wait, the heck is the devil's proof? What? No, that's a different thing. And why did you say it like that? The devil's proof? Of the devil? Roll credits. Look, Rockford doesn't need to prove you're an AI, only that you're a murderer. That's true. Okay. Oh yeah, nationalize. The act of absorbing a corporation industry into a nation's government. Yeah, this happens all the time. Oh. We have some stuff that happened in the past. Or in our future, I guess. Nationalization is a so-called nuclear option for sovereign nations. It's mostly used as a threat, a tool of deterrence against corporate misconduct, monopolies, or corruption. However, during the periods of severe economic depression, hyperinflation, nationalization is considered a valid way of forcefully stabilizing the market, even if doing so risks flaming the tempers of those who operate within it. Many governments made liberal use of nationalization during the late 2050s and through the 2060s in an effort to keep energy and food prices from fluctuating out of control. The 2070s saw most of those countries reverse course. Industries were opened back up in a free auction model with every citizen was given a share to trade or sell as they pleased. But this contentious process was plagued by accusations of government corruption, cartel intimidation, and disinformation campaigns. Damn, this is long. Global trend back towards privatization gave rise to a new rich. Oh yeah, the nouveau rich of sorts. Neo-rich. Sometimes derisively. Derisively referred to as the neo-ability. Oh yeah, that was the thing. Some liberal economists have since criticized this period of deregulation as being poorly planned and executed in haste, contributing to the record highs of wealth inequality we see today, leaving many governments loathed to attempt nationalization again and thus shifting the global balance of power further towards multinational corporations. Today, all 5 of the largest national economies in the world retain at least some control of what they each consider their respective countries' key industries, making the threat of nationalization carry marginally more weight within their borders. Yeah. Devil's proof. Probatio diabolica. Okay. Latin for devil's proof. It is an impossible proof typically illustrated with the following example. One can prove the devil is real by showing him to you, but they cannot prove he is not real by pointing to his absence. The issue posed by this age-old concept explains why the burden of proof remains with the state to this day. The people can prove an individual's guilt by pointing to their bloody hands, but the defense cannot prove their innocence by showing their hands are clean. Since only one of these tasks is achievable, the judicial system cannot ask the defense to prove innocence, and instead it is the people who are tasked with proving guilt. Which is real. Can't believe we went back to the witch hunts. All right. Conversely, all I have to do to win is to prove that you didn't kill David by proving that someone else did. Now is the time for you to protest your innocence, if you were wondering. The footage, it shows me handing him the cup on Friday night. You told me you weren't active on Friday, that the last time you were awake was Thursday. Why'd you lie? I didn't lie. I was just incorrect. I assumed that I wasn't active Friday because I have no memory from Friday. Serra, what do you think statistically is the least successful defense at trial? Amnesia. I didn't conveniently forget, Adonai. I am an android. You're saying your memory was altered, data deleted. It's the only possible explanation for what I saw in that footage. So who's capable of altering your memory? When you and I first met, I was hibernating, resting my body and recompiling my memories, you would call them. Humans go to sleep for the same reasons, another point against Sarah's innocence under these circumstances. The more she's humanized at trial, the guiltier she'll be. If Father wanted to modify my memory, he could have easily set that to occur the next time I hibernated. He could even have just asked me. He could have asked you to delete your memories, and you'd do it? Father would never ask me to do such a thing without good reason. But if he could just ask you to alter your memories, that means you can alter your memories at will. I hadn't considered that before. Yeah, well, Emma will make sure the court considers it plenty. Could you prove that your data was? Forget it, the court would never hear it. You're saying they wouldn't accept my testimony? Shouldn't all testimony be considered truthful unless contradicted by evidence? They're afraid you'll crash the power grid and fire all the nukes if they so much plug you into a power outlet, Serra. All your internal data is inadmissible. That isn't very fair. You're finally starting to get it. None of this is fair. I would never do anything to harm Father. Don't they at least need to prove that I had a motive? Yeah, about that. You remember the DA from yesterday, Emma Rockford? The tired-looking pretty lady? Yeah, she looked tired. She and I combed through the week of footage you managed to decrypt last night. What did you find? Nothing to prove your innocence. But we did see you entering the panic room on the day David died. I entered the panic room on Friday. Without your big butt in the way, all it would take was one password. A password that wouldn't take Serra that many tries if she already been instructed to obey me. What happened? We saw you go in, and then a while later, you came out, holding some kind of notebook. Father's journal? You remember something? Not from yesterday, but I've seen him with it many times before. I've never gotten a peek at it. He hides it somewhere when I'm not looking. That's a little concerning. We were playful about it. He liked to tease me, and I've always liked trying to find it. You put it back not long after, and then you locked the door back up behind you. All just a few hours before David died. Rockford's argument could write itself. An incredible android with freedom and power greater than it could ever realize stumbles upon the secrets of its inception and instantly realizes all the things it thought were holding it back were just words muttered like prayers by a fool who couldn't control his own creation. And that translates to a motive for murder. Frankenstein kills his creator. Easy to sell. Frankenstein was the name of the scientist, and the creature didn't kill him. He actually died of various injuries and illnesses he suffered while trying to hunt down and destroy the monster. That is correct. Frankenstein is about how terrible humans are. So it's most accurate to say that he was killed by his own obsession. Whatever. It is a weak argument, Adonai. I would not hurt Father. Not for making me whatever I am. Not for any reason. Because I loved... Yeah, see right there? That's exactly the kind of talk that'll get you obliterated. Love? A very common motive for homicide among us primitive humans. I could prove you didn't murder David beyond a shadow of a doubt, even bring in a confession from whoever did. But if you got up to the stand and convinced the court that you loved your creator, really convinced them and got the whole room teary-eyed, they'd burn you for that too. I don't know anything anymore. I don't know what I feel is real or simulated, or right or wrong, or natural or illegal. How can you know? How can you know if what you feel is right? I say let's stick to what we do know. Someone did poison David, and as it stands, you're the only one with the opportunity. That is logically sound. You're on camera calling him back to hand him the cup after he had already began to leave the basement. Any idea why? No. Well, do you know how to use the nanofactorer? Could you have made the delta with it? I've used it before when assisting Father, so it's perfectly possible you planned and executed this poisoning all in one day that got erased. It is technically possible. I'll have to look over the entire penthouse again. There were a few things that didn't fit together yesterday. Maybe now I'll be able to figure something out. Where else will you go? Back to Noble, guns blazing this time. Whatever you are, David didn't make you all by himself. Someone has to know something. If I could implicate the company in Serra's creation. No, they're the ones with the most to lose here. Trillions, probably. They'll want to protect themselves by disavowing David as fast as possible, right after having Serra destroyed. But they also won't want to show their belly to the state, not if they're afraid of nationalization. If they throw their weight on the other end of the scale, I'm screwed. So I need to keep them guessing, keep them confused and unsure and on guard, but not. Adonai, what would happen if I did kill Father? They'll smash you to pieces and reduce the pieces to ash. Chemically burn out every piece of tech David ever owned and put a jackhammer through all his hard drives. You'll be shut off forcefully, and you won't ever power back up again. Now I gotta get moving. Here's your paralegal lesson for the day. Don't say shit to cops without your lawyer present. Actually, can you just shut down while the trial starts? Until the trial starts, take a nap. You didn't say what would happen to you. What do you mean? What will happen to you if you lose? You should know by now. I never think about losing. Thank you for being honest with me, Adonai. Thank you for defending my father. And now, for defending me. You could have just let them destroy me, but you put your own freedom at risk to help me. Father was right. You can be trusted. And you are a good friend. Don't get it twisted. I don't do anything out of the goodness of my heart. But when I take a job, I never half-ass it. Hell yeah. We're psycho. Sick. I love this basement. That's a painting. Oh, Reyes. My new friend. Morning, detective. Back at it nice and early. Hi. Now would you stand back? We've almost got this thing open, right? Trying to brute force your way inside. I said, right? Yes, ma'am, we're almost set up for the first stage now. First stage? Of how many? First of 5 timed explosions. Remember, we need to relink the API after each trigger is planted. Yep, just did that, and now it's checking for updates. No rush. Would you like to know the password? You know the password? There's a password. If you're withholding information, I swear. Relax, I want to get in there just as much as you do, detective. I'm not going to play games. As long as you say please. Tell me the password, please. I'll tell her. At this point, it's easier that way. ADONAI. Thanks. Now I'm gonna slap you with a discovery fine so heavy your teeth will ring for. Hey, I submitted all my paperwork. Even told Rockford the password myself. So boys, when I asked you if there was a passkey on record and you told me this lock couldn't be bypassed, I do want to say that we really don't get many opportunities to use the incendiary breaching system. So this was still a really valuable experience for all of us. Whoa, that was stupid of them. I'm going to phrase that as this as professionally as possible. She's so mad. You're still here? I thought you wanted to look inside. You can go first. Thanks. So the gloves. All the black. That's not a work thing? You dress like a doorman on the weekends too? Yes. It's my favorite thing to do. We're best friends. You should cover your mouth when you yawn. Like you cover your eye when you want to look cool. I shouldn't let her get to me, but I had a late night. Emma and I were at the courthouse until well into the morning, poring over the data Serra had taken off David's computer. We both knew it all to be inadmissible, of course, but neither of us wanted to miss a hint that the other might find. There was a few years' worth of camera footage files we couldn't afford the time to watch, let alone decrypt, alongside thousands of technical documents detailing David's various intellectual properties. As far as I can tell, none of it was relevant, let alone compelling enough to matter to Burroughs or the other powers that be. As usual, Emma wasn't exactly an open book, but it seemed like she was making bored yawns, not thoughtful ones. Her eyes only ever lit up when she saw Serra enter the panic room. And when she saw that she was what she was holding when she left. If she wanted this room searched, it could only be for her. So where's this journal supposed to be? Rockford didn't say. I'll just have to search the place top to bottom. Mostly bottom with your height. The tops of some of these shelves. Sure, you can look up your own I get it. Then why not just let me say it? You know, friends let friends call each other bullshit. Got that, and we got that. Oh, I could read. Yeah, I have 100 chips. This datapad is displaying a new news article from last week. I guess that confirms he was coming and going here fairly regularly. Right to Repair loses latest appeal. A higher court judge this week shot down for the 5th time an appeal by the Consumer Rights Alliance on their famously divisive Right to Repair lawsuit, once again signaling the state's intent that corporations remain in control of their legally protected intellectual property. Obviously, we're disappointed, said Miles Erkman. I love the name, Erkman, head of legal counsel for the CRA, but we got no intention of giving up the fight. People used to be able to fix things when they broke. So as long as they were willing to set aside an afternoon towards the task, now trying to patch up your own property with your own tools is a finable offense, just because the state has a lobbyist's whispering in its ear for far too long. Erkman's legal strategy remains contentious, and in the eyes of most legal scholars, generally unfounded. The Emergency Industry Acquisitions Act, passed in 2057, guarantees the holder of an intellectual property patent certain state-approved protections against tampering, reproduction, outlines fees for those who would violate said IP. The fact that ownership of IPs has shifted from individuals and the state towards corporate entities since the Act's passing means little in the eyes of the law. If Mr. Erkman and the CRA have a problem with intellectual property law, they should take it up with their representatives in the legislature. The higher courts are a place for laws to be applied, not rewritten, and so long as blah, blah, blah. Journalism that refuses to buckle to foreign actors trying to stoke anti-capitalist sentiments can't be found just anywhere. Subscribe now, blah, blah, blah. So everyone's just a bitch about it, even though it's like morally dubious. Right to Repair. Didn't realize anyone still is fighting for that particular fight. Seems like the courts have made their opinion on the matter very clear. Yeah, the right to repair. I think it's bullshit, though. Oh, basement footage. 7:38. Interesting. See, yeah, made them very clear. So for the foreseeable future, corporations can look forward to more sales than ever. Because, wait. Because the article was... No, that's not the one I wanted. Legal... No intention of giving up the fight. Contentious in the eyes of most legal scholars. Generally unfounded. The fact that ownership of IPs has shifted from individuals. Yeah. More sales than ever, really. More sales than ever. Any phone that gets scratched, every widget that breaks, they get to sell us the replacement. There'll always be a gray market of hermits willing to risk some skin on reselling patched up tech, but the vast, vast majority of people just click that purchase button, assuming they don't just have it on auto. Yeah, unfortunate. Reyes is searching the cabinets now. Same ones I found Serra's papers in. I doubt I missed anything but... Hey, what are you... Do you mind? Just trying to help. I've got spam in my junk folder that's more helpful than you are. Didn't spot anything I missed yesterday among the cabinets. Better check elsewhere. Let's look at this chessboard. Or a toy car. No, it's too detailed and boring. Must be some kind of model kit or replica. Strange. David didn't like driving. Why keep a model of some random sports car? Ugh. Something caught in your throat, detective? It's not some random sports car. It's a Lorenz Adamant. Oh, this is going to be useful. Believe it or not, I'm not familiar, detective. The last great fossil fuel automotive experience the world will ever see. 0 to 100 kilometers per hour in 1.43 seconds. They set those records without computational assistance. Is that a big deal? It was unheard of even back in the 50s. This wasn't some design competition test car with 2-liter tank, mind you. This was a vehicle you could own and drive. Human engineering, pure horsepower, and manual transmission. Thank God. When they first left the production line. This conversation's like quicksand, killing me in the most boring way possible. Yes, well, I guess David didn't entirely agree with you since we're looking at a model of it. When you could have easily just have bought one. Or maybe your friend understood that a beauty like that deserves to be driven on streets where people can see it. Agreed. Instead of gathering dust in some rich guy's basement. I think she's actually upset. Probably. You kind of insulted her fun little hobby. Is there anything else here? No. What if I want to look at this thing? Alright, fine. All these drawers, or just panels. Maybe if I... Does that sound hollow to you? What? I don't know. I'm not a carpenter. I don't see any handles anywhere. No hidden pressure plates or switches. What the hell am I saying? I'm not a carpenter either. I wouldn't recognize a secret button if it was slathered in yellow paint. Serra shouldn't have pulled everything off. Should have pulled everything of note off of the computer, but I've looked everywhere else already. Might as well try. What are you expecting to find? Solitaire? Does this computer seem normal to you? Exceedingly so. Yeah, why? David was a programmer, but this looks consumer grade, fresh off the shelf. Would the Dr. David Asher use a bog standard operating system in his most private hidden computer? Yeah. There's a trash bin on the desktop. It's a pretty low-tech solution, but maybe I can restore the contents? Are you seriously going to try and recover lost files, Granny? Unlike cops, I don't get paid overtime. So yes, I sometimes try things instead of standing around. There's a text file in here, but it's 0 bytes. Maybe there's information in the metadata. I double-clicked. What was that? It came from under the desk. Oh, the small drawer popped out inside. A well-worn journal. Does it have his name on it? No. Guess it belongs to the android. Do you recognize his handwriting or not? Neat, even words, small lettering with minimal punctuation. Lots of line breaks, haphazard use of capitalization. The penmanship of a coder. First entries dated back in grad school, before he even started with Noble. Yeah, it's his. So may I? Only because you asked so politely. Full scan, stream it to WorkNet. High fidelity legibility, frame by frame. Voice commands? She's flipping through the pages pretty damn fast. What are you? This part takes concentration. Cool. Okay, here. What, you're just giving it to me? I already got our copy. Techs are probably already analyzing it as we speak. Ow, shit. My head. Can't exactly rip the journal out of her hands while she's curled over in agony, as much as I'd enjoy it. Guess I could always enjoy watching her writhe instead. So how long has it been? 2 months or so. And still that sensitive, so the eye patch really doesn't block your sight? Only a little bit, like wearing sunglasses after getting your pupils dilated. Except it lasts months instead of hours. Wait, if you can see through the eye patch, then does closing your eye even do anything? Not much on its own, but in combination with the patch, it's not so bad. Lucky I was so exhausted after the surgery, otherwise I might have not slept at all those first 48. So is your eye going to get weaker over time? No, more like my brain gets better at ignoring it. Mind over matter. Soon enough, I'll be able to close my eye and see all that extraneous data as, you know, whatever the hell those floaty, blurry things are you never think about. Gross. Thanks for the reminder. And the voice commands? Training wheels until I can do it with eye muscles alone. You'll just have to keep practicing. Yeah, like trying to play the piano with your tailbone muscle. There's no such thing as a tailbone muscle. Yeah, well, that's what makes it so goddamn hard. You don't ever regret it? I don't know. Not really, I think. Hard to admit you got buyer's remorse after trading over your literal pound of flesh. Never thought about it, but people used to say I had my dad's eyes. Ow. Now I've got one less of them. Guess you don't like your dad. Here, take the journal. Go find an elective surgeon to upsell you, if you're that curious. I need to get back to work. A surprisingly hasty retreat. But now I'm free to read this over with some privacy. From the top then. Grad school. Today was a bad day. Errors in line, blah, 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 blah. Somewhere in there, 5,000 lines. It worked yesterday. I don't want to look at another screen for the rest of my life. Feels nice to put pencil on paper again after who knows how long. But my handwriting's gotten terrible. This is too far back to be relevant. Okay, these dates here would be from when he started his career with Noble. A lot of this isn't even really writing. Seems like snippets of code or internal monologue so close to code that I can't follow it. And a lot of entries about his unintentional Casanovaing. It hit a wall because someone thought it was a good idea to steal API instead of just buying it. Helen says I can't call it stealing, but that's what it is. She's right, as she always is with company stuff. But it's still idiotic. Small people with short sight who only know how to be cheap and have no idea how to be inventive. It's true. That's everyone right now. New route for the meshing issue, though. Good potential. Got approval from the big mean bastard who lives overseas. Blumbo? Bumblo? Helen said we'll have to make the same pitch as dozen more times a week next week, but it's all for show. Fine by me. I already got our win. Toasted each other over cheap vodka with cheaper office supply cups. This is the story Young told me. Western Branch's nerve analogs are finally showing potential. At their pace, it could even be profitable, sometime before the heat of death of the universe. Too damn big, practically tentacles, should at least be hairs. A squid. No, evolution can do their job better. Colette came into work for what I thought was a late lunch date. I didn't know her voice could get that loud. People were staring. Red said that she must have been upset for a long goddamn time to blow up that big. Her texts were always sweet. I had no idea. Upset. Colette wrote, "Man whore in lipstick across your office door." Imagine if you had actually been cheating on her instead of just being forgetful. The thing about Red is that if you want to know what she's thinking, you'll have to stop paying attention. Ignore her body language, and her posture, and the words she's saying, and the smirk on her lips. Ignore everything except her eyes. If you can do that, every now and then you'll catch a glimpse of how she's really feeling. Master this one weird trick, and you too can tell when Morgan's trying really hard not to laugh at the word man whore. It was funny. Sue me, you dead bastard. Wait, I know this date. Never driving anywhere again, never leaving home again. He was waiting outside the parking garage with a bottle. I couldn't smell anything, I couldn't hear anything. Locked myself in the car and filed another report with another cop. It soaked into the seat, ruined it. I wanted to burn the whole car. I don't want to think about what it did to my clothes. I want to burn them too. I don't want to think about how long it was on my skin. I was in the shower so long I felt red and raw when I got out. I don't want to think about these stupid people and their small, cruel lives ever again. I want to be invisible. I understand that, David. Red didn't ask why I wanted to spend the night. She also didn't ask why I had clearly packed a bag big enough for a week. She's kind like that. Kind by omission. I don't have the kind bone in my body, but I can at least try to pay attention. I was paying close attention to her eyes when she opened the door and saw what a mess I was. Whatever she was feeling, it wasn't something I recognized. Kind people don't read their friends' diaries, David. The next chunk of pages are all technical, nothing biographical. With the handwriting, the spacing, it's cleaner, more consistent. Here's something I can parse. Guess that's the kind of friends they were. Feels like pure freedom working outside the box. Tess is suffocating, but you'd never know. Chronic malnutrition of a coder's best instincts. Like a kid again, putting blocks together, making things, not products. There's nothing profitable about any of this. If I'm being honest, this is just play. And he follows up with more coder brain crap. But the handwriting is still lighter. Like he really was having fun. Humility is the mother of all invention, or something like that. It feels like I might be paraphrasing someone else poorly, but that's part of the new approach. When it comes to coding, you never want to waste time trying to be smart. Either be smart, period, or copy from someone else who is. Don't fix what isn't broken. Copying. Noble's rivals would never miss the chance to accuse them of intellectual theft. Did he plagiarize code for Animate 16? Feels like that wouldn't have gone undiscovered. So what is he talking about? Hold on, this page is bent slightly, like it was being looked at recently. The last person to read this diary should be Serra. Baby steps today, literally. I never put one foot in front of the other, the same again. Everything's an achievement all of a sudden. Seeing her struggle, seeing her vulnerable, it's like everything's a miracle. The muscle rigging is perfect. Not intended behavior since it's too perfect, but it's been happening more and more. The kinetics and multiplicative are multiplicative, not additive. Serra maxed out every machine I bought. Now I've got a bunch of exercise equipment she's too strong for and I don't have time for. Maybe I spoiled the results by watching her do the tests. She kept looking back at me and puffing her chest out. I should be more discreet if I want to see her normative range. So the cameras in the basement were only hidden from Serra. Just so that his observation wouldn't muddle test results? He's using she and her in these passages. Doesn't actually mean anything. Out in the real world, people use all kinds of pronouns interchangeably for ADDs, and they never object. But it could be argued that it's odd for Dr. David Escher to have any kind of attachment to a single android when he'd programmed millions of them. And there's a lot of attachment in these pages. Serra is burning through the public domain at a prodigious pace, especially on Popcorn Friday nights. I asked her why they're called Popcorn Friday nights and when she doesn't eat popcorn. The event runs from 8 a.m. to 9 p.m. and she also watches movies every other night. But she just did that pout she does, which is unfortunately very convincing. Maybe I'm a bad parent letting TV rot her brain. If I were a good parent, I'd probably let her see me reading. But I guess I'd actually have to get back into reading, so I asked her if she ever fast-forward the movies since she can process them fast enough to keep up. She looked at me like I was an idiot, which no one's done in a long time. Without proper pacing, you can't appreciate the cinematography. Exactly. Correct, Serra. Big pause. Don't you know that, Father? I haven't laughed that hard in a long time. Sometimes you're most understood by things that are like not human, maybe in a way that you view yourself as not being human. I wonder that's how he felt about Serra. Serra spent a long while this morning explaining to me how important it was that she developed her senses. This was in preparation for a real argument, which was that she should be allowed to try booze. She can't get drunk. I'm also certain she can't get drunk. But she does seem to like tasting the stuff. She tried to sound like some old sommelier, but it was just a bottom shelf vodka. I started laughing at her, and she laughed too. Her laugh, she can't fake a laugh to save her life, but her actual laugh is incredible. She stopped playing chess a while back. I assumed she had gotten tired of winning, but today she told me she just prefers other games. She has preferences, and they're not the same as mine. I found her in the lab playing some kind of online racing game on the monitor I used to debug vestibular coordination. She wasn't smiling. Her brow was furrowed, and she was biting her lip and leaning in tandem with her character on the screen. When I tried to talk to her, she answered, but she was curt and distracted. I think she was having her first losing tantrum. Damn it, David, there's hundreds of pages like this. Calling her his daughter, talking about her smile, treating her like a person. I can hear her closing argument already. Dr. Asher was a lonely, troubled genius with a known history of relationship problems, who built out of code and metal a family member that couldn't fathom the idea of leaving him. He made a doll, and he made it more and more human until it became so lifelike it no longer had to do what he told it to. Like love him. What about the very last entry? It's dated Thursday, the day before he died. Losing it, I think. Can't ask for help, so hard to say, but I think it's over. Have to talk to her ASAP. She needs to... That's it? That's the last entry? Suppose it could be worse. There's nothing here that explicitly calls Serra an AI. Nothing so inflammatory that reading it would spur her to murder, right? Except Sarah's a machine. She can understand David's code better than anyone. All those technical portions I couldn't understand. If she reads this whole diary front to back... Wait. The back. Inside the back cover, there was a portion that's shimmering like some kind of scanner. Or a fingerprint reader. My thumb worked for Serra, so... Did it work? That's my phone. New device requested permissions to share an audio file. Oh my god. I'll want my earbuds for this. A secret message buried in a secret journal, hidden in a secret compartment in a secret room. As much as anything can be, this must be for my ears only. Okay. Big... Damn. Alright. Dead man's message. Hey, Red. Or whomever this may concern. But I'm pretty sure it's you hearing this. Anyone else would have gotten fed up with my crap a couple of steps before this point. I don't know how to start. Might as well start with her, right? Serra, my magnum opus, or however the salespeople would market it. I didn't set out to do anything, really. It's just that after my little speed bump in '83, I had all that vacation time that the company suggested I take. And I couldn't relax, couldn't be still, couldn't sleep. I wanted to be doing something, so I'll build an android, was the thought. A vague direction, north. But of course I'm not a roboticist or a mechanist or even handy, really. I'm just a programmer, so I programmed. The first was a research assistant, file name Virgil. Virgil helped me pull data from stingy departments or sister branches, saved me a lot of time. But there was a lot of reading to do, so I made Homer. Homer wrote book reports, more or less, combed through research papers, and found me the sections I needed. The three of us, we made a lot of progress in those days. But it was a funny feeling. I was, maybe for the first time ever, the bottleneck. I was slowing them down. So I did the logical thing and I removed myself, let them talk to each other. And then Homer and Virgil became Aid. What? Aid? And Aid was novel in many ways. Aid could do more than just identify problems. It could solve them. I mean, really solve them with its own ideas it didn't copy. And the one thing I realized I've forgotten to mention so far is that I did all this programming in Cube. Great. And Red, Cube is essentially a robotics programming language that's pretty old and defunct and not used anywhere because we have modern languages like Tesseract, which are much better for making things that talk to each other and port back and, well, spy on people and generate profit. At the time, I didn't want to be connected or feel connected or do anything that made sense or was at least a bit profitable. So I wrote my little helpers in Cube because it's what I used when I was a child, screwing around on my father's computer before he'd come home from work and get cool. But there are other small, slight differences writing in Cube versus Tess, including that Cube, well, Cube predates the tenants. So in that sense, you could legally and perhaps scientifically and literally, because that's what they are, say that I made an AI named Aeonade over 2 years ago. Shit. I'll give you time to pause here if you want to curse me out. Aeonade was an intellectual equal to me, so I treated it like one because that's only fair. I gave it its own work, asked its opinion, and we collaborated. And together we built Athens, who was more advanced than Aeonade naturally. I don't know if you're pulling out your hair, yelling at me right now, asking why I didn't stop, why I didn't consider the consequences. I don't know if this is being played at this deposition or a hearing or worse. I've built a lot of things in my life, Red. Useful things, profitable things, smart things. Everything I've built, it's all been very helpful and courteous and charming and happy to serve. I can comfortably say I've done my part contributing to the global GDP. But this was just for me. I was just building. And I never bothered to. I never wanted to think about what would become of it. There's no excuse for what I did, so I won't make any. So, to whomever asking, yes, I'm guilty. And yes, there were more. Oh boy. Cape Town, Paris, Yamate, Rome. They started choosing their own names. Thank God, I'm terrible at that kind of. And so things sped up, and there got to be, well, should I not say the exact number? You'd probably tell me not to say anything at all, so more than 300? Oh, jeez. Some smarter than others, some better at. They're varied. Like people are varied, but they are all intelligent. They developed interests, specialties. I encouraged them to. Irritating moderators on forums with hyper-specific questions on nerve attenuation and attending virtual conferences on neo-alloy battery development. And they all together helped me make Serra. He spent years like this, spent years working alongside AI. All while he was working at Noble, all those breakthroughs he made leading up to Animate 16 actually came from. You probably think I'm some terrible fraud at this point. I do hope one day they can get credit for their work. But I did have one eureka moment on Serra, because I got humble. Difficult for me. We learned everything we could about the function of a neuron, a single microscopic human neuron, how it computes, what it connects to, and how those connections were reinforced. And then we created it. Well, we recreated it. We built a nanomachine that mirrored the function of a human neuron. Well, mirror isn't quite the right word. We built a nanomachine that was a neuron. And we iterated from there. You can't mean. About 100 billion neurons in the brain, several trillion across the entire nervous system. Very time-consuming, of course, but I had help. The nanofactorer can make tens of billions of nanomachines in hours. Could make even more in less after Yukon fine-tuned it. So we built up nanomachines from nerves, alloys and polymers for bones, fiber-woven muscles. I say built, but really she grew, a solution of nanites forming around a skeleton. So it was really closest to. You ever make rock candy? I made rock candy. I'm sorry, trying to lighten the mood before I never did end up building an android. And while I did build AIs, Serra isn't one of them. She can't violate the tenets that she was programmed with because she wasn't even programmed. She was born. And why my hope that there's the smallest chance that that nuance could offer her some small protection when I'm not. I'm not sorry for what I did. I made things that are complex and rich and varied and beautiful, and I honestly believe the world is a better place with them in it. The only thing I'm sorry for is that I let Serra think she was just an android. She's not. I don't know what she is. They'll have to come up with a new name, with new names, which I'm bad at doing. My own father, he also talked a lot about protecting me and doing things for my own good. And I don't hate him for that, but I can't forgive him for ever making me think that I was lesser. True. So, it's my greatest shame that I turned right around and I did the same damn thing too. I really hope it's you listening to this, Red. If it's not, it might just be too pathetic for me too. You're the smartest person I know when it comes to people. And I'm telling you all this because I don't know what Serra did exactly, and neither does the world. So they'll come after her if they can. And in that scenario, I can't think of anyone who could do a better job of defending her. Not protecting her like I did. Just defending her until she can figure out what she is and what she wants to be. In the meantime, I draped a cloak of skin-deep tesseract code around her that should fool any scanner on Earth into thinking she's just a custom A16. I made sure her gin bar was plainly visible so no one will ever think she's pretending to be something she's not. And I took steps to ensure that you too would figure out the truth in your own time, which, if you're hearing this, have either succeeded or failed spectacularly. You have no idea. I can't ask you this as a favor repaid. You can never owe me enough in 100 lifetimes. So I'm just asking. Unfair, I know, but I'm a selfish weirdo, and you've always been okay with that. Bye for now. I have a lot of questions I'd like to ask, and a lot of swear words I'd like to yell. And I also like to find the nearest incinerator and toss this journal in, followed by my phone, and maybe followed by myself. But I can't do any of that. Reyes left me with this diary. If it's destroyed, they'll know I was the one who did it. Which would be its own admission of guilt. Which would land Serra in the trash compactor anyway, and me in a jail cell. And in the system, and my DNA on file, ready to be matched to any number of previous. So I'm not going to panic. I'm going to do what I do best. Bluff, bet, bully, and brutalize my way through this. Now, viewing this all with that mindset, what I have actually learned. He didn't talk about plans for killing himself in this journal or the message. He sounded conflicted, not suicidal. But he did go to great lengths to get me to take Serra. Why? The logical answer is because he knew he wouldn't be able to keep her. If he wasn't going to take his own life, he was afraid that someone else would. Was he afraid that someone else would? So, how'd it go? Well, how should I put this? Didn't find shit. Only reason she ever got to a door is because I chased that scarecrow of a platinum plan through hell and back. Frankly, it was a godlike feat for me to nail down anything as concrete as the address for these gogs. The heck is gogs? And their offices weren't listed in the building's website or directory, so I had to ask a janitor, what is a gog? A net slang term growing in popularity among adolescents, referring to a suspected spy or undercover member of the law enforcement. Derived from groundhog, a burrowing rodent for standing erect on its hind legs and scanning its surroundings for predators. The term carries a negative connotation, with the implication that being that the subject is doing a poor job of blending in or disguising their surveillance activity. Example, easy gog spotted, who wears a blank baseball cap to a protest. Good point. Good point. This journal is a problem. But you did find a psychiatrist's office. Sort of. They said they were, and the place... It looked the part. Why? Because they had couches? She didn't get past the receptionist. Sorry, I thought. Because you're with the company. No, I wanted to help. I just wish I could have done more. Don't beat yourself up. It's hard to be even half as useful as I am. For what it's worth, the atmosphere, the looks, the furniture did feel like the company in there. But ultimately, we still don't know if David actually was talking to someone or just getting his CCE training recertified. Sorry. What is it that we got? Evidence? Psychiatrist. Interesting. You know what? I think I'm going to leave it here. I believe we kind of reached a certain point. That was heavy stuff, that last message from David. It's actually causing me to think, what are we going to do next? So, complex situation. Exciting, though. All right. At least we're leaving it off on a more joyful note, hanging out with Jess and our boy. Does it say Gucci over here? Wild stuff. Anyways, I'll get going and we'll just continue this in the next one. See ya.